leave your energy for this segment because
All right, here we go.
the last game of Wild Card Weekend is on Monday night, and I didn't know that. And I bought tickets to LA. My flight was Friday, and I come back Monday. Then I realized the game was Monday, and I had to change my flight. So I changed my flight. I'm going to be attending that game, so I'm going to be in LA for the Rams and Cardinals game. I'm going to buy an Aaron Donald jersey. I'm going to buy a Rams jersey. It's going to be Donald most likely. I can't be seen with the Stafford one, especially if he throws an interception to cost the Rams a game, which might actually happen because that's the type of quarterback Stafford is. But
he's only thrown one in the fourth quarter or overtime this year. So,
but in prime time, this game is a prime time game. It's a division matchup. They split 1-1 this season. The Cardinals beat the Rams 37-20 in the first matchup. In the second one, they lost 23-30. Now, Drew, you've picked the Rams to make it all the way to the Super Bowl this year. Do you think there's any chance the Cardinals stop that? And how are you feeling about this game? Because if I'm a Rams fan, I feel uneasy about this one.
Understandably to feel uneasy. It's a division game, and the Cardinals aren't slouches. I believe J.J. Watt is supposed to make his return this week also, correct?
Yep.
So that's definitely an added bonus for the Cardinals. You bring in a great run stopper in J.J. Watt. They kind of lost that run stop presence once J.J. Watt had gone down. I wouldn't say lost, but definitely hindered their run defense this season. Now you have him back, and we saw last week Sony Michel had an abysmal week. At one point, he had 14 attempts for 15 yards, and Sony had been on a tear. So that speaks to what San Fran's doing over there. However, I think the Rams do come out with this one. The reason to be wary is that this is a division game, and we had seen already once that the Cardinals can beat the Rams. However, we saw one of Matthew Stafford's, if not his best performance this season against the Cardinals this year in primetime, where my friend Joel believes that he cannot perform. However, you know what? I can't be oblivious. This season, Matthew Stafford, that is the one primetime game that you look at, and he played well against the 49ers, against Tennessee. He didn't play his best football by any means. However, you look at it this year, in the fourth quarter, 12 touchdowns, 0 INTs. The first time he goes into overtime, he throws an interception. That's unfortunate. That's his only turnover in the fourth quarter or overtime this year. In the clutch, Matthew Stafford is going to be ready, and he's going to play his best football. In terms of the first half, this is where Matthew Stafford makes his mistakes. This year, in the first half, he has 12 total interceptions. In the second half, he only has 4. So we have seen Matthew Stafford struggle, but we've seen him overcome it, like games against the Cardinals, like games against the Ravens, where the Ravens definitely should not have been in that game. Matthew Stafford knew that, came in halftime, was smoking hot, was the main reason why they were able to win that game. And I'm feeling pretty similar here. Now it's a home game where the Cardinals did actually beat the Rams. Different around this time is now they have Odell Beckham Jr. And Odell Beckham Jr. gives them a safety net in terms of red zone threat, in terms of not having Cooper Kupp absolutely mugged or completely taken out of this game because you have to only worry about him. Not saying that Robert Woods is a slouch, but you don't have to worry about these two guys being double covered or triple covered, given the fact that Cooper Kupp just won the Triple Crown. Shout out to you, Cooper. You did an excellent job this year. I think Odell Beckham has a great game this Monday, or this upcoming Monday. I think that the secondary for the Cardinals is not going to be enough to stop Matthew Stafford. It is going to be heavily based on whether the Cardinals can get to the quarterback. Chandler Jones, Marcus Golden, J.J. Watt, one of the best D-lines in the league. I just believe personally that the secondary is not going to be able to hold up, and Matthew Stafford is going to have his way. But it comes down to how Kyler Murray is going to play. Now, Kyler Murray is one of my favorite quarterbacks in this league. I said it earlier this year. He's going to stamp himself as a top 5 quarterback. And if he's not top 5, he's at the minimum 6. Kyler Murray is just one of the most exciting players in the NFL. He is like that. He is him, as Joel would say. I personally think that Kyler Murray will have a good game, but ultimately Stafford and the Rams offense will just be too much for the Cardinals.
So I think I understand that stat correctly, because when Stafford, when he's in a primetime game, he throws his interceptions early to the point that the Rams are getting blown out. So then in the fourth quarter, he makes up for all that, And that's why it looks like he's this clutch quarterback, but we all know the truth if you really watch the games. He doesn't perform in prime time.
Third amongst active quarterbacks in comeback victories, but no big deal.
Oh, that's good for him. That's good for him. He had to come back every single week in Detroit. It's not that impressive.
Imagine carrying the worst franchise in NFL history. Credit to you, Matty.
All right. Well, you don't give Matt Ryan any credit for doing that in Atlanta.
Oh, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Anytime we talk about 2017, Matthew Stafford, you have to mention him as one of the best QBs in the league. I'm sorry that in 2022, I don't look at Matthew Stafford as the top 5 quarterback that he once was. Excuse me, Matt Ryan. Absolutely. I apologize. Put me in jail. I'm sorry.
Matt Ryan is still a top 15 quarterback in the NFL.
Are you taking Jimmy Garoppolo this year or Matt Ryan?
Are you asking me that question seriously?
This year, who are you taking, Jimmy Garoppolo or Matt Ryan?
If I'm Kyle Shanahan and you tell me I can have Matt Ryan or Jimmy G, what do you think I'm doing?
All right, I'm obviously taking Matt Ryan, but based off this season, Garoppolo did more than what anyone was expecting this year.
Well, why? Because he has the weapons in the offensive mind to do it. You don't think if Matt Ryan had that?
It took Debo up until this point to be Debo Samuel.
It's his third season in the NFL.
I give it a lot of credit to Kyle Shanahan for being able to identify that Debo has this skill set available to the team.
He's always had that though.
But not to this point, not to this level.
It's because his rookie year he was he was shy of 1,000 yards. His second year he was injured the entire year. He wasn't able to play.
But that's exactly my point. We hadn't seen Debo show this skill set. Yes, he showed it in the receiving aspect. However, now
show it.
Correct. Exactly.
Bro, we saw it in the 49ers playoff run. They were running Debo on sweeps all the time.
Another thing we haven't mentioned is that the addition of Trent Williams and him being the highest rated left tackle ever, I think he had a grade of 98, something around that line. And that definitely plays a factor into guarding the blind spot. And that's definitely a reason why Jimmy has also been effective. So that definitely helps your argument a little bit. However, Jimmy Garoppolo, what else is there to say about him? Last week, he stepped up when you needed him most. And
Atlanta won 7 games with the roster they have. You put Jimmy G on that Atlanta Falcons roster, are they winning 7 games?
Let me look at their schedule real quick, and I will let you know. But give your spiel.
I'll give my spiel. This game is tough for me to pick. I keep thinking in my mind that it's an upset. Like, I actually, in my mind, I'm trying to pick upset. But I just feel like if the Rams lose here, it's going to be such a disappointing end to the season. To lose in the first round,
no, it would be.
This is abysmal.
Oh, without a doubt. No, I'm looking at the schedule.
You traded 2 first-round picks for Matt Stafford, and to lose in this game, you know how embarrassing that's going to be, especially if Matthew Stafford is the one who doesn't play up to his potential. Versus the Niners, Week 18, he was hobbled. He was limping. After he made a throw, he came up limping. And I don't know if that's still going to bother him this game. When I look at these two teams, it's a very even matchup. The Rams are the 22nd against the pass, and they just lost Jordan Fuller, who's their leading tackler. Because of that, they signed Eric Weddle for what's that's worth. We know he's a big time name, but is he still good? I don't know. I don't know if Eric Weddle's going to still be good. He hasn't played in 2 years, and you're counting on him in a high intensity environment to now perform to the level of Jordan Fuller, who led the team in tackles in the regular season. I find that hard to believe. The Cardinals can't stop the run. They're 20th against the run. They're 7th against the pass. I think that's going to really be what kills them if they can stop the run to Sony Michel and with Cam Akers back. But Arizona is 7-0 when J.J. Watt plays this season. And if you would have asked me, if J.J. Watt stayed healthy the entire year, I think they're first in the NFC. I don't think they go on a slump this big. I think they're still first in the NFC. But ultimately, I think the Rams win this game because even though J.J. Watt is coming back, this is on such short notice. The Cardinals average 21 points per game without DeAndre Hopkins, and they are 1-9 against the Rams with Sean McVay. And Kyler Murray struggles against the Rams. He's thrown 7 touchdowns to 6 interceptions when he's faced them. he's been Matthew Stafford in primetime against them. So because of that, I just don't trust Kyler Murray in this big of a game yet. I don't think Kyler Murray, outside of the game against Seattle last year, has really shown us he can perform at this high intensity leverage moment, and versus Dallas when they beat Dallas too. I'll give him that. But Kyler Murray, I'm still kind of on the edge of my seat about of whether or not he can perform in these high leverage moments. I think ultimately the Rams should win this game. And the Rams will win this game if Matthew Stafford takes care of the ball. If he throws 2 interceptions, they're going to lose this game. Even one if it's at a costly moment. But I think my prediction for this game is I think it's going to be 34-28. Rams will come out on top. I don't think Arizona will be able to overcome D-Hop's absence. At least in the first matchup, D-Hop was there. His presence was there. They're not going to have him this game, and Jalen Ramsey can lock up A.J. Green or Christian Kirk. It doesn't matter who you put on him. J.J. Watt not being 100% definitely led to my decision. I don't know how big of an impact he's truly going to have on the game. And you couple that with the Cardinals not being able to stop the run and the Rams being one of the best rushing teams in the NFL, I just don't know how you can't pick the Rams in this game. There are going to be some people that pick the Cardinals, and don't get me wrong, I was one of those people. But the only reason why is because I am still wary of Matthew Stafford. And I've been telling you guys all year long, I don't trust Stafford. So we'll see if he changes my mind. We'll see if he changes my mind this game.
What has to happen? 1 playoff win, 2 playoff wins. What has to happen for you to be like, nah?
No, he's got to win the Super Bowl. He's got to win the Super Bowl because if he goes to the NFC Championship, right, and he faces, as of right now, a better Packer team, and he has a 3-touchdown, 2-interception game, I already know what Joel's going to say. Can't get it done. Even if he goes to the NFC Championship.
Is that true, Joel?
Listen, as long as Stafford doesn't lay an egg, I will change my stance. But these things are more about feeling, right?
I like that.
This is more about feeling. When I watch Stafford, I don't feel the trust. I don't feel like he's comfortable in those moments. Same thing with Kirk Cousins. When you watch Kirk in primetime, you don't think he's going to get it done. When I watch Mahomes, when I watch Rodgers, when I watch Brady, I'm like, Herbert. I feel comfortable. Herbert, yeah, and he's proven that to me, converting 6 4th downs. I mean, I'm comfortable with Herbert. I'm not comfortable with Stafford. I'm not comfortable with Tannehill. I'm not comfortable with Kyler. I'm not even Jimmy G. I'm kind of comfortable with Jimmy G, to tell the truth. I'm not.
You're comfortable with Jimmy G, but you're not comfortable with Tannehill, who has had couple upset victories in the playoffs. You're not comfortable with Matthew Stafford, who is clean over Jimmy G. Like, it's not even a debate.
If this was last season or 2019, my trust in Tannehill is sky high. But this year, I do think he's made some really boneheaded mistakes, and I don't trust him the same way.
It's tough because I feel like I've been very firm on this. Tannehill is in a rough spot where his offensive line is dog doo. It's not good by any means. And A.J. Brown and Julio Jones have been in and out of the lineup. However, A.J. Brown has returned, and we've seen Tannehill play better. I'm not saying he's back to Tannehill-esque status that he was at these previous 2 seasons. However, we've at least seen him get back to playing like a solid quarterback.
Okay.
And that's what getting your number 1 option does for you. And now we're going to have Derrick Henry make a return. I feel like it's just a little bit too harsh on Ryan Tannehill.
You picked the Rams. I picked the Rams. Now, Joel, are you picking the Rams as well?
We have a clean sweep here again. I'm picking the Rams too. I don't love it that we're all picking the Rams. I feel like we might have a little.
Yeah, Joel, what did you do?
I was surprised.
Why?
Why did you think I was going to pick the Cardinals?
Because you're a hater.
I'm not a Rams hater. I'm just realistic.
You are a Rams hater. You're a Rams hater.
Low key. You're a Stafford hater,
bro. It's no low key. It's high key. It's the highest key. Actually,
I'm not a Stafford hater, bro.
No, you are. You are a Stafford hater.
You don't have as much faith than we do.
I love Matthew Stafford. I really do. I love Stafford.
Bro said they're winning the Super Bowl. The next week, he said it was the worst decision he's ever made in his life. So I don't want to hear you say that you like the Rams. I don't want to hear it.
Hey, I never said I like the Rams. I said I like Stafford.
And that too. I don't want to hear that either.
No, because you think just because I like a guy, I gotta be like, oh, he's the clutchest guy in the NFL. Oh, I trust him with my life.
That's not what I'm saying.
No,
that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying
Stafford.
you need to be a little bit more respectful of one of the best quarterbacks in the league right now.
Oh man. All right.
Please.
I was gonna say you two could debate this topic all night if we were gonna be here, but the reason I'm picking the Rams is I just think the Cardinals peaked in October. You know, they were playing their best football. Joel, you mentioned it. They were 7-0 when J.J. Watt was playing. But I think more importantly than not, it was just Kyler Murray, since returning from injury, just hasn't really been the same guy. He's averaging 30 less passing yards per game. His completion percentage dropped from 72%, which was highest in the league, to 66%, which is average in the NFL. He's dropped by a full touchdown per game. His yards per attempt, they're not pushing the ball down the field as much. Some of that does have to do with missing DeAndre Hopkins.
I agree.
Even still, though, he's down to 7.2 yards per attempt, which is the same as Baker's and Teddy Bridgewater. So they're not taking as many shots, as explosive plays as they once have. But the one area he has improved in is his rushing, where he was averaging 28 yards per game, or he's averaging 28 yards per game more pre-injury. Post-injury than pre-injury, which I don't love because I don't want him to get injured again. This is 2 years in a row now where we've seen Kyler Murray get banged up and return from injury and just not been the same quarterback. He's a smaller guy. He's 5'10" on his best day. He's not the biggest guy. You know, he's probably 200 pounds soaking wet, if that. So I do worry about him when it comes to running the ball as much, but he does have a really good ability to slide. He was a former baseball player, get out of bounds. So I'm not as worried about him as Josh Allen. But he's also a smaller guy, like I mentioned, so I don't love it.
I'll also
the Cardinals. Yeah.
Oh, you were going. You kept going.
Yeah. What you have something to say, bro? Go ahead.
All right. I'll also say that when Kyler faced the Rams and the matchup that the Rams won, one of Kyler's interceptions was tipped, and it was like he had an open receiver. He just threw the ball a little bit too low, and it was intercepted. But I don't think that was a bad interception in my eyes. When you look at Kyler's interceptions versus the Rams, they weren't like, why'd you make that throw interception? It was kind of like, damn, it's just bad luck. Like, it's just bad luck. So if he can protect the ball, I give them a big chance to beat the Rams. I really do. I think this is one of them where it's like this.
I hate that. I hate that. Honestly,
I don't know, bro. It's hard to go
keep smiling because you're not
playing well.
Come on now.
What do I know?
The Cardinals haven't been playing well recently, bro. They're 2-4 since their bye week in week 12. They have 2 bad losses, one to the Lions, one to Seattle. The Rams, on the other hand, are 5-2 since their bye in week 11. And their only losses are against the Packers, which I think we all agree are the best team in the league right now, and the 49ers week 18, which they were in control of, but it was a very uncharacteristic loss that they, second half kind of blew the game. And the Cardinals have also allowed 30 or more points in half of those games. So their defense hasn't played well too. I'm sure J.J. Watt's going to help with that. But even still, it's hard to ask a 32-year-old J.J. Watt, 33 however old he is, to come back from injury, come into the playoff game, and automatically just flip around this whole defense. I don't think that's really going to happen.
If Stafford plays well, I'll come on the show and I'll say I'll trust Stafford. Not just this game well. I mean, throughout the playoffs well. That's what I mean. But maybe this is his only playoff game. You don't know. They could lose.
One interesting thing is the Cardinals are 8-1 on the road.
Yes, they're really good on the road.
So
yeah,
it's weird. You don't see that often, but it is weird that they're so great on the road and not that good at all at home. But I agree. I got the Rams winning this game.
I'll say this: all the signs point to Arizona upsetting the Rams. All the signs point to it.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You mentioned it.
Other than
the Cardinals,
the
Cardinals are 8-1 on the road. Matthew Stafford came up limping after a throw to Cooper Kupp versus the 49ers. He's a bit hurt. Jordan Fuller is injured, their leading tackler. They had to sign Eric Weddle off the streets.
That was weird.
The Rams feel like that team that has all this name brand recognition on it. Matthew Stafford, Odell, Cooper Kupp, Aaron Donald, Von Miller, Jalen Ramsey. But they just don't get it done. This just feels like an upset. It feels like an upset. I'm not gonna pick the Arizona to beat them, but it feels like an upset. And this is the biggest toss up outside of the Niners and Cowboys game there is on Wild Card Weekend.
I think the Rams are gonna handle business, man. The Cardinals were playing their best football too early in the season. It's hard to come into the playoffs not playing well and make that flip in the playoffs, especially with a young quarterback and young head coach.
I have zero doubt in my mind that the Rams come out on fire offensively and put this game to bed.
You better say that.
shit wins
You're obligated to say that.
Listen, without
It's
I'm
a
not
failure
obligated.
if they don't. All the pressure's on the Rams. All the pressure's on the Rams.
The main reason, like you guys said, DeAndre not being there. Jalen Ramsey now, who you had AJ Green in that first game have over 100 yards receiving, is going to be taken out of that game. Christian Kirk is not that X factor type receiver that I'm worried about out of the slot. That's going to be the reason why they lose this game. If the Cardinals win this game, it is solely because Kyler Murray put on a show.
Yeah,
that is the only possible way that they win this game. And I'm not saying that it's impossible because he's Kyler Murray, and Kyler Murray is that dude. That
being to force the turnovers. They have to force turnovers.
That really you have to have Kyler Murray play at a 10 out of 10 game, and you need this defense to take over. And I don't see both of those things happen.